VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard, live downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. A 3-hour banger coming up as we get set for the Super Bowl on Sunday. Here are the guests in 30 minutes. Will Hill, his best bets. An hour from right now, Adam Chernoff, Doug Kazarian, I think live from New Orleans later on. Matt Humans on the program. And professional bettor Chris Massero. We'll talk about the game from as many angles as possible, Paulie, until 7 o'clock Eastern here on a Friday night. I will begin by, it is in this year, telling you this. It's in the great city of New Orleans. Love it there. Have visited a handful of times. It's comparable to Las Vegas. And I was fortunate enough in my career to cover the Super Bowl 10 straight years. And I think that number grew to eventually like 11 or 12 overall. And it was always a blast, but I would always eventually make my way back to Las Vegas for the big game. And then regardless of the site, it doesn't matter if it was New Orleans or Miami or Houston or Indianapolis, any of them, people would inevitably ask me during Super Bowl week, are you staying for the game? Do you get to watch it here? And my answer would always be the same. It'd be, no, we have to go back. We're going to be in Las Vegas for the weekend. And they'd be, that kind of sucks. Like, how? Why does that suck to you? Oh, don't you want to go to the game? I'm like, no, I'd much rather be in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is the spot to be every single Super Bowl Sunday. I would prefer this over any other spot. New Orleans might be the exception again because I love the city so much, but this is the epicenter for this game and this entire weekend. And I can't wait, and I'm super excited now that we're finally here.
All right. Gloomy gust, though, coming here.
Oh!
But this is... So I was out all last night, and the town seems dead. So we'll see what happens tonight, and I know it's going to be a monster worldwide. I'm concerned about what the handle's going to look like in Nevada. We've talked to 3 people from Circa. The handle's disappointing. It's shocking. Okay, but then you're looking at, we got some weather, we got some wind. Some people are delayed. I want to see what this looks like Friday, Saturday, which everyone just assumes, okay, watch out. But I was stunned. I went out to dinner with my Dr. Gebhard, who's awesome, our friend. It was Barry's. There wasn't a lot of activity. There wasn't a lot going on at Oscars. It wasn't. I was stunned that we didn't see a lot of people in the restaurants, and a lot of places were empty last night.
Okay, well, I will assume that it's going to pick up big time starting today and then into Sunday, obviously. And I will tell you, this to me is like, and we get it all the time, and we thank you for the feedback, but I honestly don't know how to answer this because I don't think there really is a good answer. People always say, where should I watch a Super Bowl? That to me is like the most...
The March Madness question.
I don't even know what to say.
Where do I go?
Right. I don't have a good answer. So it's like I've never experienced it at a bad location in town. You can go to a ballroom, you can go to a theater, you can go to a sports book, you can buy a day bet at Stadium Swim, you can watch at a bar in your hotel. You can go to ask your host or ask somebody at the hotel if there's a party that you can like buy a seat into. Whatever it is, I've never ever had a bad experience out here in Las Vegas, and so I think unless you're like a curmudgeon and you have to have, specific details to what your Sunday's going to look like, then you need to go out and look on your own. Because I graded it one year. I was sitting at the Westgate Theater many, many years ago. This was for the Cardinals and the Steelers Super Bowl. And they had, that big packet of props that would come out every single year. It was like 35 pages. And I tried to memorize as much as I could off that packet. And the place is packed, 1,600 people. Awesome Super Bowl. People are going nuts the entire time. I tried to grade as many props as I possibly could in the first quarter. By like the 7-minute mark, I had like 30 circles on the various pages of the prop book, and I had a blast doing it. Mm-hmm. I don't do it every year, but the one time that I did it specifically that way, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it's also a game changer, too, with sports betting and VSiN. It's the 8-year anniversary of VSiN as well.
How about that, 8 years?
And it's the first time we're on the air live while the game's going on, so we'll take you up not only through kickoff, the anthem, the first drive, much of the first quarter. It's going to be great. But I also love this where it's sad because it's the final game, and then we go into depression mode. But everyone, most people have an opinion. You want to know who do you like, and we'll run through everyone's predictions here at VSiN and what people think. But even like one guest today has 4 props. Another guest has like 18. And we had a guy on yesterday who's like, yeah, I like a couple things, and he sent over like 22 props and was like, you only have 8 minutes to work with here.
Sure.
But it's fascinating. That's like, here's what I like. I like a lot. You didn't have much a week ago. Your portfolio's grown. So this is fun now that we're getting close and what everyone likes and all the different props and the creativity. And we'll even do 5 minutes on the Gatorade, which I think the people are shocked by the handle and how many people bet the coin toss and also how many people bet what color Gatorade will be poured on the coach.
Well, I wish the Gatorade was available in every state.
Right.
It's not.
But that's why you're going to be surprised by the handle.
Sure.
Because it's only available in a certain amount of states.
Now, this is, I forget which Super Bowl it was. We were definitely at VSiN when this took place. It was a handful of years ago. But on that specific Sunday, and I talked about this on the air years ago when it happened, I had more money on the national anthem that day than I had in any NFL game that entire season. It's because I had the nuts. I had the information, and I was able to find outs on it.
Yeah.
And that was back when books actually, I think, were, they left it up for a while, and they got creative, and they would take decent-sized bets. And I went crazy on it. Mm-hmm. And I was convinced that my guy had the right information again, and he was spot on, and I cleaned house that day.
It's what a time to be alive.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the scene in The Town when they robbed Fenway. You never saw me. And he lets them in, and then Affleck and Renner do their business. But to have someone on the inside who was working security and would know the exact time length of the anthem, what the performer was wearing, was going to hold the mic, going to use the stand, everything was glorious.
Yes, no on the hat.
Yes, no, right. Yeah,
So
beautiful.
I will tell you that I think I have the nuts again this year, but it is very difficult to get down. I reached out to several folks who might be able to help in that way, Paulie, today. We spent hours messaging each other back and forth on this. And
what is it?
Which one do you want?
Ledoux Kendrick Lamar. Is it Kendrick Lamar?
11 songs at halftime.
Get out.
He's singing 11 songs, yeah.
How confident?
Strong. Mm-hmm.
What does Dollar Bill say? I am not unsure. What's his line?
I am not unsure.
I am not unsure?
Yes, right.
Love that show.
So, I think I have the national anthem.
Ooh.
But again, it's very difficult to one book that a guy who's very good has several outs. And by several, I mean probably 100. Who knows? And this is like one book that's known like everywhere. It's global. It's an offshore account. They would take to win $25 on this stuff.
Oh, God.
So it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And then you're searching, you're talking to other people, like, how much can you get down? And not a lot.
Right.
Not a lot. But
right.
Because
I did see there was a big move on Lamar, Not Like Us, to be the last song played.
Okay. That I don't. I don't know first song. I don't know last song. Right. But, I do have a pair of bullets, but it's unfortunate that I can't do anything with them.
That's right.
So here are some of the longer shot bets that you can find at VSiN.com. And Adam Burke's been doing a great job of compiling as many bets as possible from as many folks as possible here at the network. What do you make of this? Sean Green, Sports Gambling Podcast show, Friday nights. It's a great show. Does it with Ryan Kramer. He put in Jahan Dotson 85-1 first touchdown. Here are some of the numbers on Dotson. The snap share for him in the playoffs, in order, 57%, 62%, 55%. So, Paulie, he's going to be on the field. The Eagles have scored the first touchdown in 75% of their games this year. I think it's also, 8 straight? And this ticket cashed in the wild card round against Green Bay only a couple of weeks ago. 85-1 for a guy that's going to be on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And a team that scores the first touchdown often. Okay.
Don't hate it? Yep.
I don't hate that at all.
Yeah.
Matt Brown, ready, set, bet, weekends here on VSiN. Dallas Goedert, MVP, 125-1.
Yeah, I did that as well. I didn't do that same number, but I could see a path, right?
Well, here was his path. And I'm sure that you're thinking pretty much the same thing, right? Long drives resulting in field goals. It turns into somewhat of a defensive battle. The Chiefs hold Barkley in check, doesn't score. Hurts has, a pedestrian game, let's say 180, 200 yards. Dallas Goedert has 80 plus, whatever it is. And it's 20-17, he scores a touchdown. 125-1, worth a shot.
I would think he'd have to have more than that, but yeah, good explanation. But I would think if Goddard's going to win the MVP, it's probably 100 yards, at least 2 touchdowns.
Okay. And Paul Stone reached out to me. We saw him yesterday here in Las Vegas, professional bettor. He actually has a bet on a couple of props. I'll give you one. He actually played here at Circa over 2.5 people to have a passing
Now,
attempt.
that's just getting popular. This is,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, it's a pretty good plus money.
Yep, Dave Tooley likes it. A lot of people in the guide picked it. Now you got Paul Stone on that. That's becoming very popular.
Well, what about this then here? At Circa, I think other books offer this as well, but here are their numbers. Will Carson Wentz play a snap? Yes is plus 1050. Will Kenny Pickett play a single snap? Yes
Great.
is 6-1.
Love it. Love it. This is awesome.
Oh, that's tremendous stuff.
Remember, one year Elway had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Somebody might pull a Lamar Jackson, might pull a Paulie Howard, have to go to the bathroom.
Hey, that was in the morning, okay? The plumbing's good now. The plumbing's okay. But that's right. That you could have anything. An injury. Has to go to the tent.
Of course, has to go to the tent.
Or bathroom break, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's a blowout.
All you
blowout.
need, we're not rooting for injury, but how often
That's
does
right.
the quarterback in any game go to the tent? They got to check him out for 6 plays.
Well, there's props on that too, baby. We're loaded. Big game almost here. We have you covered. Kickoff to cash out. All your favorite hosts will be breaking down the reaction all day long. Early morning breakdowns, in-game betting strategies, post-game recaps. We're on 4 to 7 Eastern, 1 to 4 Pacific. And watch live, VSiN.com, VSiN Watch app, YouTube TV, SiriusXM, iHeartRadio, and all other major streaming platforms. VSiN.com for the big game coverage. Keep it here because you know the networks and just atrocious, awful pregame. They're not going to give you anything.
You know, that could also be a situation where the Chiefs at the goal line, they put Mahomes in and Wentz at the same time. And they make it look like they're going to do a throwback or something like that. Or Wentz might come in motion, take the snap under center. All he has to do is take one snap. It's not throw a pass. Either quarterback there to take a snap. Up next, we will examine Saquon Barkley's outstanding season versus this stout KC run defense. It's Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Those were wild times. Betting squares for the big game has come a long way.
Now with the Circus Sports app, you can select your Circus Squares right at your fingertips.
Everyone's played traditional squares at a big game watch party. Here at Circus Sports, we do it a whole lot better.
Select your own squares and as many as you want.
$1 minimum bet and a $100,000 maximum payout.
And best of all, no more arguing over the squares.
Circus Squares brought to you by Circus Sports, the world's largest sports book at your fingertips.
The biggest football event of the year is upon us, and VSiN's got you covered before, during, and after the big game. We're pulling out all the stops with contributions from every one of your favorite VSiN hosts and experts. They'll be giving out their best bets for the game, as well as breaking down the lines and discussing their favorite props that they'll be sweating throughout. Tune into VSiN starting at 8 a.m. Eastern to catch all the action. And let the Sports Betting Network take you through the biggest Sunday in sports betting.
On the next A Numbers Game Super Bowl 59 recap. We'll break it down every which way and maybe come up with some stuff that you may have missed. That's what we do the morning after the big game. Plus, of course, we'll drift into other sports. Carl Sack, a man who moves NBA lines when he releases plays, well, he'll release one, and we'll see those lines move. We'll talk NBA with him. And how about some college baseball? College baseball preview with Matt Grissom. It's A Numbers Game, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, right here at VSiN.
Here at VSiN, we're getting ready for the big game with our biggest deal yet. $59 off a VSiN Pro subscription. With VSiN Pro, you'll unlock daily expert picks delivered straight to your inbox, as well as exclusive betting splits, pro betting guides for every major sport, and access to tune in anywhere on the VSiN Watch app. Get $59 off a VSiN Pro annual subscription with promo code FOOTBALL. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe now and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
So much ground to cover every single 2 weeks, and then Super Bowl week, and then weekend going into the big game, and I love it. I mean, we had a mixologist on the air making drinks for us earlier this week who was awesome. J.R. Starkitz, if you missed that, we'll play a little bit of what he had to say and the drink that he made for your Super Bowl party. That's going to be on Sunday's show. The Barkley angles, Paulie, a lot of them, obviously. So he is 30 yards. That's what he needs to pass Terrell Davis for the most rushing yards in a single season ever. That means regular season and the playoffs. Davis had 2,476 in 1998. Barkley on the season has 2,760 yards from scrimmage. He is 3 yards shy of passing Davis for the most ever. Barkley has rushed for 100-plus yards in 14 out of 19 games. In the playoffs, it's 119, 205, and 118, and he surpassed 100-plus yards in 9 out of his last 10 games. On the flip side, Casey's defense, so it hasn't been pretty in the playoffs. Mixon and Cook each did very well against them, but they have not allowed a 100-yard rusher in their last 18 playoff games. Jerome Ford rushed for 84 yards on 7 carries this year, most by any running back. That included a 60-plus yard touchdown run. In the regular season, Derrick Henry had 46 yards, Bijan Robinson 31, James Cook 20, Joe Mixon had 57. So I like Barkley to win the MVP because I like the Eagle side here, but I also could have just too much confidence in him against Spagnuolo and this Chiefs defense.
But the question is, what's happened in the playoffs, right? And I'm also glad to kick this around, too, that we briefly touched on yesterday, that under 25.5 longest rush is very popular with a lot of pro bettors as well, because he had 13 runs of 30-plus yards, and Kansas City, like you mentioned with Ford, that was the only one in the regular season, which the game was out of hand. That was a 2nd and 23 draw, as Paul Bovey mentioned yesterday as well. Cook ripped one off in the AFC title game. Yeah. So all of a sudden, though, what has happened with the success that Mixon had and what Cook was able to do, and I can say it because I can't prove it, but I think Buffalo wins the game if they just pound it up and keep giving the ball to Cook in the second half.
All right, so some of the numbers out there. Barkley to have 150-plus rushing yards is around 3-1. You can also bet the no if you don't think he's going to. Lay minus 365 in that market. Barkley, 200-plus. Yes, 14-1. And that's going to vary depending on the book again. Mm-hmm. Barkley, 70-plus rushing yards in the game. Yes, minus 575, but if you want to go the other way and do the reverse ladder on something like that, the no is plus 440 here at Circa. 1 touchdown, minus 195. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm glad you found that, too, because a lot of books are offering, will he break the record at 10 or 11-1? Well, the record's 205.
Sure.
So you get just the 200s, 14-1.
Yeah,
so
that'd be a better bet, obviously. Yeah. 2 touchdowns plus 283 is 13-1. A rushing and receiving touchdown is in the 16-1 range. And this one is good. This one's available at several books that I noticed today. Will Barkley score a touchdown on his first rush attempt? The yes is 50-1.
Oh.
Again, here at Circa, they offer the no on almost everything. That's minus 2750. So you have to lay a lot of money to win basically nothing on that. Good. But that's what he did against Washington.
Yep.
What's the scenario there? He obviously breaks a 73-yard touchdown run on the first play. Or, they have a long kickoff.
Long
kickoff return. Right, to get down to the 8-yard line, whatever it is.
A lot of things are in play there.
Huh?
Like the Green Bay thing, right? Fumble the kickoff, Dotson. Do you want my advice? So you have this big future ticket on the Eagles. And
I have a piece of it, yeah.
Yep. So when you look at this, though, because I even hedge, I like the Eagles, what should I do? Want to lock in a profit. Always got to lock in a profit. Even Derek Stevens does that. And but you look at this now, and Kansas City's issues in the first half. I think you should get involved in play because Kansas City, going back in the Super Bowl, trailed 10-3 last year at half against San Francisco, trailed 24-14 at half against Philly, trailed 21-6 at half against Tampa, and then they were tied in the first meeting against the 49ers 10-10.
Mm-hmm.
So you might say, well, a little risky business, but there's a good chance, not only maybe 7-0 Philly, maybe they have the lead at halftime again, that you could get involved in play, get a juicy price, Take 6, take 4, take a better money line. Or you could do a couple things like what Dave Tooley likes to bet every year, that the game will be tied at halftime. And then if you hook it up with either team, it's either 17 or 20 to 1. And that cashed, obviously, a couple years ago. Or you could tie it in because of Kansas City's history here with the slow starts and trailing at halftime, that you could do like the Cousin Sal bet. That for 2 years he's been betting the Pittsburgh Steelers to be down at halftime and win the game.
All right.
And that usually pays 7-8 to 1. So maybe you could do that as well. But that would be my advice to you and other people, if you have a future ticket on the Eagles, that you look and you see the Kansas City slow starts and the history that they've trailed at halftime in all of them, and the other one was 10-10.
Yeah, I'm not hedging pregame. Just not going to do it. I made a rule to myself at the beginning of this year to even be, more strict about it. But I want to cut out the hedging. I know you said about the monetizing the ticket thing, but I don't want to give away money here because I like the Eagles. So I could be dead wrong on that, and the Chiefs might jump them 17-0. I don't know. Nobody does. But to your point, I think that would be my play. And I know that's how Matt Humans is going to approach this as well. He has a ticket on the Eagles to win the Super Bowl 16-1. He's waiting. He's quite confident he's going to find a much better number on KC in play. And I would say probably the first time, maybe if I can hopefully find like a 3.5, I might have to pounce at that point because then I can win both bets. But more on this coming up a little bit later on. I think if you try to monetize a ticket, you need to do it almost every single time. You can't just pick and choose your spots, or you just never do it. I never, and I could have, because Joe Burrow was plus money after Week 17 to win Comeback Player of the Year, and I was going to win a lot of money last night if Sam Darnold won the award, and I elected not to, quote, hedge or monetize my ticket. And that's not a great taste today, I have to be honest.
And he never had a chance.
No, I mean,
that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Dobbins was ahead of him.
Sure, and 35 of the 50 people left Darnold off their ballot.
Hello.
So that tells you right there a light bulb should go off for next year.
Yep.
Guys got to be injured to win the award. They took what the AP told them to heart and said, I'm not voting for a guy like that ever again. They made the new mandate. I'm going to listen to him. So I'm thinking like when a guy, books even offer who's going to be like next year's Sam Darnold.
No kidding.
Don't even put him on the board.
Yep. Unfortunately, I was right on that. And Goodell, when they come down with that, and they were pissed off that it was Flacco and not Hamlin. It's like, what are you coming back from? This guy died. Flacco was on his couch hanging out with Sal Pal and watching Sunday Ticket.
Yep.
I mean, you can't do it as far as I'm concerned. So coming back from being a major disappointment or you were awful is not going to get it done. Right. You're right.
So that's my point, though, is that I would probably be a little bit bitter here come Sunday night or Monday if I don't have something to show for, but I think I can find a better spot to go in play. Yeah, I could not get out of the Darnold tickets at all. There was nothing. And then, how about this? Mm-hmm. Quick side note here. Lamar Jackson, after Week 18, and when he was voted first-team All-Pro, offshore books put him up as a huge favorite, and that flipped. And then last night, an hour or two before the NFL honors, on Polymarket, Josh Allen turned into, it was over.
Yes.
It's over.
Yes.
Yep. Turned into a huge favorite, and they just called it.
Yep. And Chernoff had that in August, and Chernoff pointed that out while it was going on as well. Mm-hmm. So good job by Chernoff there.
Yeah, we will discuss some very creative MVP markets that are out there as well for the game that you can find.
I'll give you another one, very popular. The game to be, and it's always, I don't know why, but with the public, it's always confusing to them, and it shouldn't be. Will the game be tied after 0-0? This one also was popular. Basically, all these games have been close with Kansas City, and that's another popular one that in the guide, and I've seen it several places.
That's the one that Thule likes to get involved with.
That's another one, right.
Yeah. Yep. And I go back to the AFC title game constantly. But again, that game was tied at 29 apiece. That's a very rare number for an NFL game to be tied at.
Yeah.
But look at what has to happen now. You go for two a couple of times, you miss, and then you keep doing it, and then you finally get it. You miss an extra point, whatever the case might be.
I don't think a scoregami's crazy either.
No, I don't think so either.
I absolutely, I'm there with you with what you're talking about.
Yeah.
A shaky kicker, and then teams going for two,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I also think like the 2-point attempt, those props are so popular on the attempt and the conversions, right?
I was watching our guy Russo, and he loves Russo right on the air. I'm going to have about 20,000 on the game here. I'm going to be smiling. And he loves 2-point conversion, and he loves the Eagles. I love his line. I'm chiefed out, he said.
Yeah.
But he pointed out the last team to be number one in defense and rushing, like Philly, Dallas in '92, and they crushed it, 52-17 in the Super Bowl. So that was some good analysis from Russo. If you ever had your deposit blocked by your bank right before a big bet and needed cash at 2 a.m. for another shot at the tables, but hit your ATM limit, the fees are outrageous. No more. Edge Boost has your back. The first ever bank account built for bettors. You're already betting. Make extra money from it. It pays you cash back to wager. Money in your pocket for doing what you love. Card never declined. Don't leave money on the table. EdgeBoost.bet. Promo code FTM. Start at Tier 2 for faster bank transfers and higher cashback rewards. EdgeBoost.bet. We love it. EdgeBoost.bet. Code FTM.
VSiN contributor Will Hill with his best bets on the Super Bowl coming up next.
And they're off.
Sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup. Then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to vsin.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network. This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
All right, here we go. The beginning of a bunch of picks that you're going to get over the next 2.5 hours on this show as VSiN contributor Will Hill joins the program now. He is on the Progressive Guest Line from the Shoulda Bet More podcast and also the Bear Bets podcast as well with Chris Felica. What's up, Will?
Boys, what's going on? One game left. Excited to finally kick the ball off. I'm sure you guys are at the point too where you talk about this game for 2 weeks. You look at every angle. At some point, let's get this thing going. But excited to talk about it.
Well, I like this because you have an opinion on the side, right? We're going to do, side total and probably like 80% props today, but who do you like to win the game?
I like Kansas City. I know it's popular to say, there's no value on the side. And maybe if this game were in the middle of a normal Sunday slate, 11, 12 games, would you be cutting in line to bet it? Maybe not, but I like Kansas City, and I know it's not profound to just say, hey, it's hard to bet against Mahomes, but it is hard to bet against Mahomes when it's under a field goal, and he basically just has to win the game. And if you look a little closer at Philly, they played the 7 seed, the 6 seed, and the 4 seed. Now, they're an outstanding team. Good offensive line, 2 probably top 20 receivers, the best running back in the league. And, man, saw some of those 40-1 tickets on Barkley Offensive Player of the Year. That feels like a missed opportunity. I don't know how he was 40-1 Offensive Player of the Year before the year and missed that one. Jeez, that's, regret on that one. But Philly's really good. But you dive into these games. They got the gift of all gifts to start the Green Bay game with the recovered fumble, which was just a ridiculous call, I thought. The Rams are up by 1 or down by 1 with the ball in the snow. They fumble in their own territory. They fumble again. They're -2 in turnovers. Green Bay's -4 in turnovers. Washington wasn't going to beat them, but Washington's -4 in turnovers. 10 takeaways here for Philly, no giveaways. Now, some of that, all right, you take care of the ball. You're a ball-hawking defense, but some of that is just hard to sustain. Some of that's luck. So, Green Bay, really, yards per play, yardage, they were right there with them, dead even. Rams, same thing. So, I don't know that the Eagles have been as dominant as the scoreboard reflects. And you just go back and look at Kansas City, Buffalo. For all of the complaining and all the controversy with the refs, there were 5 fumbles in that game. The Bills recovered all 5 of them. If the Chiefs get 1 or 2 or even 3 of them, that's a blowout. Plus, Kansas City takes a knee when they're on the verge of scoring again at the end of that game. And Kansas City was up 7-3, about to be up 14-3. They fumble, completely unforced error. Mahomes with Pacheco, the botched exchange. So Kansas City, we've seen it time and again. They have a different gear in the playoffs. They save a portion of the playbook. Mahomes has a different gear. And one thing, I've been talking about this on all the shows, and I'm just begging for this guy to miss a kick because I've said it so many times. Elliott's been a disaster. Yep. Butker's been in this situation a million times. He's made a ton of clutch kicks. 2018 AFC title game against New England. Go down the line. He makes all these clutch kicks. Doesn't mean he will Sunday, but he has in the past. Elliott has missed a kick in every single game. He's missed 4 kicks in the playoffs. He's missed 3 extra points. He missed kicks during the regular. He used to be a really good kicker, but he's shaky in it. The line is 1 here. So you miss an extra point, you miss a field goal. That's huge. Now, just at the end of a close game, which I do think it'll be a close game, Mahomes, Andy Reid, and I'll throw in Butker as opposed to Elliott, Hurts, and Sirianni. I like the KC guys. Yeah, you're also making the case for overtime. Everything, your breakdown was fantastic. I'm with you with Elliott. Overtime, by the way, 12-1. The other thing, too, about the luck factor, Philly is plus 27 in the turnover differential since week 8. So while we talk about the luck factor with Kansas City, maybe it runs out on Philly as well. How about a Barkley prop? Yeah, you mentioned overtime. That's one. I don't like a lot of these needle in the haystack bets. They can add up quickly. And for me, the idea, I know you want to have fun, but you do want to win money too. And some of these, you bet too many of them, you look up at the end and they're hard to win. They're plus money for a reason. But if you're just one of these guys, and this doesn't really apply to our audience, if you're listening to this show or these betting shows, you're serious about winning. But somebody that wants to just throw $50, $100 on something fun and be in the game the whole time, like you're technically, you have a shot the whole time. 12-1. The line is 1, which is a good start. There was overtime last year. These teams played 2 years ago and the game was tied with 10, 15 seconds to go. So I think it'd be a close game. Could you see a scenario where somebody's down 3 with the ball with 30 seconds left and they drive down and kick a field goal and we play overtime? At 12-1, I don't think it's bad. The Barkley one under longest rush, 24.5. There's some 25.5 out there. You track this all year. It's like 17.5, 18.5. I just think it's inflated for good reason. Part of it is the Super Bowl. Part of it is he's ripped off these monster runs, all 3 playoff games. He did it right off the bat against Washington. He had the one to seal the game against the Rams, or almost seal the game against the Rams. Had one against Green Bay where he slid down. So we've seen him recently, but I'm just going to play the numbers here. Kansas City's a solid tackling team. I just think that's a little bit inflated, so I will go under 24.5 here.
Yeah, good point on that. By the way, shop around as always, because believe it or not, I did see one book with 21.5 today, longest rush.
Whoa.
On Saquon Barkley. So that might not sound like the biggest deal, but trust me, you want to get the best number. So if you want to bet the under, you got to. There are 24.5s out there for sure. Maybe still a 25.5, like Will said.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. And there's so many props with the Super Bowl. The books can be a little overwhelmed, which is good for bettors. And I actually think, look, when you're at your Super Bowl party, you're having your beer, you're having your wings. Sometimes they give the coin toss. The coin toss comes out, and if you have enough books and you're diligent about shopping, they'll leave up some of these books because they want the handle to keep coming. So they'll leave up a first quarter, a third quarter, first team to score, first team to 10 points. Not all of them do it, but all it takes is one or two, right? Hey, you're getting the ball. First team to score, first team to 10, third quarter plus a half, all of those things. If you know who has the ball and you're paying attention, keep that in your mind. If you're at some of these parties, you're doing whatever you're doing, because you can catch these books. I've noticed that in the past where they are slow to take the lines down because I guess they just want the action once you do see the coin flip.
Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Will Hill, VSiN contributor. He is on the Progressive Guest Line. His podcast is called Shoulda Bet More. He's also part of the Bear Bets podcast with Chris Felica. Dynamite job that they do over there in the podcast. I was pondering a first quarter square bet of 0-0, kind of thinking that maybe nothing could happen potentially here. They come out maybe a little bit slow out of the gates. I know they didn't 2 years ago, but typically in the Super Bowl, 0-0 has been the most popular first quarter square. What is your angle here for betting the first quarter?
Yeah, I actually thought about that one too, and I saw that's 9-1 to have a scoreless first quarter. I don't think that's a bad bet, but at FanDuel -127, both teams to score in the first quarter. It's a yes/no, so you could take no -127, meaning as long as both teams don't score. So one team could score 21 points, it could be 28-0 at the end of the first quarter. You win your bet. You need points from both teams, and here's the thing: the team that kicks off might only get one possession. I think this is going to be a game where I don't have a feel on the total because I think both offenses will have success. It's just I worry that there's long, time-consuming drives. But just given the matchup, Philly's a running team. Kansas City's sort of a dink and dunk team now, and Fangio likes to keep the ball in front of you. If you kick off and you only get one possession, and I consider one possession, if you get your second possession and the first quarter runs out, that's not really a second possession because the possession's not completed. I just think it's hard, both teams to score. I think, like you said, there's nerves early on. It tends to be, hey, we don't want to make a costly mistake. Let's be a little bit conservative early. We're a little tight, even if you've been in this game before. I think it's natural. So both teams to score in the first quarter, no -127. And first quarter, look, there's no 2-minute warning, so the clock just goes a little bit faster. There's not that urge to beat the first quarter clock like there is at the end of a half, obviously, at the end of a game. So if they're on the 5 and the clock's running, they might just let it out and let the clock run out and go to the second quarter. So both teams know, I think, is a good look there, and I like that price.
Very good.
Yep. This is also popular, but I agree with it. We've talked about it all week. Kansas City, horrible against tight ends. Goddard have a huge game.
Yeah, it's a little. I mean, it seems like everybody in their everyone in their mom has a ticket on this one. Doesn't mean it's not going to win though. Kansas City, like you said, they've struggled against tight ends. We've seen Bowers go for 140. We've seen Likely go for 111. Schultz has had some big games. I think tight ends average like 72 yards a game against Kansas City. Those problems are not going to just go away in a couple of weeks, especially when you have all of the weapons to worry about that Kansas City is going to have to worry about with Philly, with A.J. Brown's a little healthier. All the attention, all the eyes on Barkley. Now that's going to sell play fakes, play action, middle of the field. I think him getting to – I liked him last 2 weeks ago against Washington, even though that was kind of chalky and kind of popular. He got the 7 and 85. If you like this, I'd bet this now because I wouldn't be surprised if this ticks up even more. But there is a book out there, 49.5. I think he gets into the 60s. I think 60 yards, I think, is a good bet.
Couple things here. You went to a college basketball game last night. What was more unlikely? The game finished with a buzzer beater, or you watched the game with Mike Francesa?
Yeah, do him.
That's a great question. The Francesa one.
That's more unlikely?
I don't know. I mean, I was right. We were a couple rows behind the hoop. I don't know if anyone saw the game. Probably not. It was on ESPNU. Tie game. 1 second left. The kid from Marist shoots, falls down. Nobody touches him, but they call a foul. Worst call you'll ever see. He bricks both free throws. Fairfield gets a rebound. Inbound. Sinks it 70 feet. Nothing but net. But yes, Mike Francesa, I guess his son is a freshman there. A few rows down from me. Got to talk to him at halftime for a bit. Couldn't have been nicer. So, yeah, I'm still kind of reeling because I'm just it's grew up in the Northeast in Connecticut. Mike and the Mad Dog was everything.
Yeah,
So
sure.
See him in person was certainly something.
Did he say, "Will the Giants are an utter disaster"?
Yeah, that's a pretty good Francesa. I didn't get into it too much with him. I talked a little bit about the game. Talked a little bit about we have some mutual friends, obviously from just being in the business, so to speak. So it was really cool.
What does he like in the game?
I think he likes Philly.
All right. Great spot, Will. As always, thank you. Enjoy the game.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Follow him on X at Not The Will Hill on the Progressive Guest Line. Podcast called Should Have Bet More as well. Win Some, Lose Some up next. We'll kick around what happened last night. NFL honors, award winners, and there was a huge favorite that did not get into the Hall of Fame. That's next.
Those were wild times. Betting squares for the big game has come a long way.
Now with the Circus Sports app, you can select your Circus Squares right at your fingertips.
Everyone's played traditional squares at a big game watch party. Here at Circus Sports, we do it a whole lot better.
Select your own squares and as many as you want.
$1 minimum bet and a $100,000 maximum payout.
And best of all, no more arguing over the squares.
Circus Squares brought to you by Circus Sports, the world's largest sports book at your fingertips.
The biggest football event of the year is upon us, and VSiN's got you covered before, during, and after the big game. We're pulling out all the stops with contributions from every one of your favorite VSiN hosts and experts. They'll be giving out their best bets for the game, as well as breaking down the lines and discussing their favorite props that they'll be sweating throughout. Tune into VSiN starting at 8 a.m. Eastern to catch all the action. And let the Sports Betting Network take you through the biggest Sunday in sports betting. last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Paulie Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
What is going on with the Boston Celtics? Horrible at home. Dallas without AD. 12-point dogs goes in there and opens up a can. Plus 550 on the money line and the over 228 up to 233.5. Completely misleading score. 127 to 120.
Oh, that was a wire-to-wire blowout.
Oh, yeah. They were blowing them out. And, yeah, it was
First quarter.
Klay Thompson was awesome, which I'm excited for Saturday. Now, Luka's probably going to play Monday, but the Lakers play the afternoon game against the Pacers. How good has LeBron been and the Lakers? And then you have Klay Thompson and others with the Mavs saying, we anticipate like a road game Saturday because the fans have turned on the organization. And it's going to be a weird feel to their first home game since the Luka trade because the fan base is furious.
Well, and Anthony Davis came out. I think he said the right thing today. He's like, I totally understand where you guys are coming from. I get it to be furious, but he basically said, he's like, I'm going to do my best here, man. And we kind of forget this. Davis, when healthy, is a stud.
Yep. I mean, after the game, they just said the big win. They're talking to Kyrie 10, 12 minutes about the trade.
Yeah.
It's like no one wants to talk about the game. Lakers, Warriors over 222 up to 226. 120 to 112. Lakers continue to win and go over. Clippers. Boy, what was this? All of a sudden, they're like 4 back now of the Lakers. Pacers beat them, and 227.5 up to 231. 119, 112. Blazers did it again. I buried the lead. They've covered 11 in a row, 10-1 straight up. They take out Sacramento. What a story by Portland. They can't get in the play-in? They're not that far back.
Paul,
They're hot.
I was shopping around today. I could not even find to make the playoffs.
Wow.
Several books didn't even have that team listed.
Yep. Sabonis hit a 3, by the way, too. 16 of the last 17. Utah Valley, 6.5 up to 9 winner. And San Francisco having a good year.
Yeah.
Plus 190 beat St. Mary. Subscribe, be part of the team, VSiN.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos. At Paulie Does Vegas on Instagram. Well, let's go to the Cincinnati Zoo. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? And I think that's Fritzy now. That he used to be 800-900 pounds, and now he's getting up there in size. And it's just, okay, so what am I going to do? Smell it, lick it, and that's my pick. Fritzy, Cincinnati Zoo, going with the Chiefs. There's the pick. They do it every year. With the Hippos. Fantastic.
Do we know how the Hippos,
there you go.
what their record is?
Knock it over.
Lifetime?
Well, the problem was I think they both picked, one Hippo picked KC and one picked San Francisco last year, so you're right. It's not. There it is. Excellent. I'd love to do this.
So it's kind of like the old tout services 10, 20 years ago.
Oh, right, yeah.
Call them twice and
Both
get a
sides.
different answer both times.
Yep. Let's open it up. Let's do it, Mitch. Doggy daycare. And here it is where they
Might
open
have
up
your
the
chance
pool.
sometimes,
That's
too,
right,
they don't.
yep. And they come in and they there you go, buddy. All right, everyone in the pool. Let's go. And they can't wait to jump in. Little rehab, little exercise. And you got 30 dogs jumping in the pool at the same time at doggy daycare. That's phenomenal. And one here. Have your dogs ever do this? You got the 2 bulldogs here. They fall asleep on one another on the bed. It's like a...
Whoa.
Yeah. It's incredible. Are they 2 Frenchies? Anyways, they just they're holding
All snuggled
paws.
up like that, huh?
Yeah, they're cuddling, hugging each other and fell asleep on one another.
I'll ask this question. Is it abnormal when you have 2 dogs when they kiss each other all the time? That's been going on at our household with Mickey and Frankie.
Yeah.
They it's every single day. That's how they start playing with each other.
Interesting. All right. Awards last night. Yeah, chime in on that. Allen, MVP plus 850. Surtain, Defensive Player of the Year, 125 to 1. Barkley, 30-40 to 1. Offensive Player of the Year. Verse, Defensive Rookie of the Year, 8 to 1. Likewise, Daniels. Circa had the best price in the market. Burrow, Comeback Player of the Year, plus 250. And O'Connell, Coach of the Year, 20 to 1. Lose some, Gonzaga, 19 up to 24. Also, win some, 8-year anniversary of VSiN. Also, the 8-year anniversary when a friend of a friend, the sports book, got robbed, attempted robbery, Super Bowl Sunday. Guy put a Mac 10 in the kid's face, and the manager, not the first question, not the second question, the third question was, is he okay? It's not your money. So they caught the guy. He didn't make it far, but incredible. I can't imagine what was going through that kid's mind. Nuts. Also the 8-year anniversary. Take your betting to the next level by playing the ponies on First Bet. From Santa Anita and Gulfstream Park to the Kentucky Derby and Preakness, First Bet has you covered. Sign up firstbet.com, promo code VSiN200. Claim a 20% rebate for your first 60 days. Up to $200. Head to firstbet.com today.
All right, a couple of takeaways from the honors last night. I did all the math. I had Daniels 8-1 to win Rookie of the Year, and then that was it. Darnold would have been a great night. Not even close. So I ended up losing money overall. I'm betting NFL awards this year, and that includes a ticket on an 8-1 outright winner. So no bueno on my end there. Also, I'll run on a couple of things regarding the MVP. This tweet from Sarah Ellison. Lamar Jackson's 2024 season. First quarterback ever to throw for 4,000-plus yards and rush for 900-plus yards. First quarterback ever to have 40-plus passing touchdowns and fewer than 5 INTs. Passer rating 119.6, fourth best in NFL history. And as she put it, this historic season resulted in nothing at NFL honors, no MVP, no Offensive Player of the Year, nada. What do you think about that?
I agree with the tweet. I thought Jackson should have been MVP.
Here's another one from Stathead. I mean, I've gone back and forth on this a lot because I do think that Jackson clearly has better weapons on his team than Josh Allen.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when you run down the overall numbers, Josh Allen had a better record, but Baltimore beat him straight up. Completion percentage, passing yards.
In the playoffs, but they also...
They got him back, got revenge in the regular... It's a regular season award.
You're right. Baltimore blew him out in the regular season. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Passing yards per attempt, passing yards per game, passing touchdowns, INT, rating, rushing attempts, rushing yards per attempt. Every single category but rushing touchdowns, Lamar Jackson beat him. And Josh Allen got the MVP. I don't know. That just seems... I don't have a problem. I should not have a problem with it because I said this. I'm like, you could tell me Barkley's the MVP and I'd be okay with that.
No, it just doesn't make sense, though, that every year the guy who wins the All-Pro is the MVP.
Yes, correct.
That doesn't make any sense. And the other thing is they don't make it public what the votes were?
They do now.
Okay.
And Mike Florio
that's what it was.
Had a story on this today. Evidently, there was an email that was sent out to voters. I think that may have been it.
Yes.
In September, but I think it was lost, he said. It was kind of like buried in the overall email. And so people now are wondering if the voters knew that their ballots would be released, would they vote the same way? It's a great question. But yeah, you can go and find out every single one. Adam Shine has a vote here on the network. I heard his show today coming in. And good for him. He said, I'm transparent the entire year. He voted for Josh Allen, but and I listened to him a lot this year. He was telling you along the season who he was going to vote for. He updated, and he never lied. He never had an agenda.
No, but that's a great point from Florio. I think that's you're going to change who you vote for if it's not public.
Probably.
If people don't know. And
there's also this. And by the way, before the break, I said that there was a monster favorite that never got into the Hall of Fame. That's not Eli Manning. Eli Manning, I'm looking, again, this is tough to find, but he was around minus 125 to get in. He did not, according to reports, not close.
Good.
Not close to getting in.
There's a great line. He had a couple Hall of Fame moments. That's it. He had nowhere near at a Hall of Fame career.
Too many bad to, below average seasons. There is this, though. Luke Kuechly was around a $12 or $13 favorite to get in. And he did not. So, I don't even know who votes for the Hall of Fame.
I cannot believe Vinatieri didn't get in.
Yeah, he was a $9 favorite to get in. You're not going to take Vinatieri?
The best money kicker of all time.
Correct. How does he not get in? I'm actually, as someone who grew up in Wisconsin, I was super proud to see Sterling Sharp get in. Yeah. That was awesome. The guy's career, I don't know how good he would have been. He would have been one of the best of all time, I think. Injuries, but he was automatic. Every time that you needed like 9 yards for a first down, bam, and he was such a bulldog. And I love what his brother Shannon said. It was making the rounds after yesterday. Shannon, during his Hall of Fame induction speech years ago, said, I'm the only person in the Hall of Fame who can say this. I'm the second best football player in my household. That's pretty amazing. Yeah. And so for them to finally recognize Sterling Sharp, who was You know, he put up like those 110-plus catch seasons before anybody else did. Like Art Monk did, but then always Sharp to beat him, and he made it like a thing. So,
well said.
That was great.
Yep. Not only did he make big kicks to win Super Bowls, look, think about the conditions. Like that game against Tennessee, the balls are rock, and then in deflate gate. Think of the conditions he has to make those field goals in.
Yep, no kidding. Adam Chernoff has been betting and analyzing the NFL for nearly 2 decades. He'll join the program coming up next. He has a bunch of bets on the big game. Find out who he likes coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
And we're out.
Okay, give me 1 sec. I need to load funds into my gaming apps.
Stormy, really? With a credit card?
Well, with my credit card from GBank, they don't treat gaming transactions as cash advances.